Welcome back to the Daily Mindset and Business Dojo Show. My name is John and I am your mindset business coach. In today's training or video, we are going to explore from survival to thriving. All right, so how to go from being in surviving mode into thriving mode, not just in your business, but in your life in general. So many of the conversations that I have with business owners comes from survival state thinking, because they've been in such a pattern from where their business is now over the last couple of years, maybe from when they started, that it's always been a constant cycle of survival where you're always just trying to get ahead, but you never get to where you want to get to. You just kind of do enough to stay on the right path. And what happens is we start to condition ourselves to be in that state. We start to condition ourselves to almost become attached with the survival, that all we think we can do is just simply survive. But when you're in a survival state, when you're doing things that are survival based, you can't perform to the best of your ability. It's almost impossible to be able to execute consistently and be able to think bigger and aim higher and actually step into those actions. And a lot of it stems from the idea that up to 50% of business owners won't survive 5 years, right? I think most people know that. Business owners typically don't survive 5 years, and those who do are typically in survival state. But what's different from the ones who perform? What's different from the ones who thrive? What's different from those who turn chaos into their advantage? From those who turn recessions into their peak seasons? Like, what is the difference there? What's the key drivers? What's the thinking behind it? What's the logic behind it? How are they reacting compared to most people who are in a survival state? So a great example is when the economy goes through a state of change. What do people typically do? They go into survival thinking. What do? They want to hold their assets. They want to hold on to money because they fear what might be coming. So a lot of their survival comes from a perspective of fear about the future. Because let's be honest, business is uncertain. Everything you do in business is almost uncertain because you have no idea of what could possibly come tomorrow. And what that does is it keeps us stuck in survival states. It keeps us stuck doing the same things that got us to this level, but can't possibly get us to the next level because we're not willing to step into the certainty and faith that we can make it happen. That if I make this investment in me and my business, I back myself to thrive. I back myself to be able to make that money back. I back myself to be able to 5x my investment because I know I'll do the work. I know I'll follow through. I know I'll make this work. There's a difference in thinking, and there's a difference in how that thinking then creates certain actions. So I want you to, zoom out right now, get that helicopter perspective of your business and your life, and just ask yourself, where am I stuck in a survival state? Is my thinking patterns right now based on the opportunities, based on what it would be like to thrive? Or is it based on what do I need to do to survive? What's the bare amount I can do that will just keep me ahead, that will keep things moving forward? Because I know that's not the reason you started a business. You didn't start a business to be stuck in survival. That's not the reason you went from being employed to self-employed and then starting your own company. You did it because you had a big dream. You did it because you had a vision. You had an aspiration to create something that's meaningful and that can change your life. But somewhere along the path, you lost sight of that. Why? Because you got stuck in the chaos and life happened. And then that starts to create certain narratives that maybe I shouldn't take those risks. Maybe I shouldn't scale. Maybe it's not the right time to grow. Maybe we should hold on to another year. Now, it's not to say that those thinking are right or wrong, because there will be times where, yes, that is exactly what we should do. But is it fear-based, or is it based off your intuition? Is it based off of your higher thinking? and actually thinking logically about the situation. So you're mostly operating from thinking, fear-based thinking, that's leading to certain emotions that are low on the frequency scale, like doubt, shame, guilt, worry. If you're down there, it's impossible to attract the things that are up here. And that is one of the key differences between those who have success and those who just struggle to get by and do the bare minimum. So my challenge for you today is to question where you're stuck in a survival state. Question where you've started to settle and conform to mediocrity, to just doing the bare minimum, when you know deep down you have so much more potential and you have so much more to give. And the next question will be, what are you going to do now that you have that information? Now that you know I'm stuck in a survival state here, what would a future version of me who is thriving? Let's just say you 5x your business. What would that person be doing? What would that person be thinking? How would they be showing up on a day-to-day basis? What would their principles look like? What would their daily disciplines look like? What would their habits look like? How would they see themselves? What would their energy be like? That is the version of you who can thrive. Not the one that's based off of your past, not the one where you're stuck in an old identity and you're stuck in an old way of thinking and doing. It's the one that you're capable of becoming. When you remove all of those stories, you remove all of those resistance, and you start to get up here right. Because when everything up here is right, everything works. When everything up here is off, nothing works. So you have to start from the top down, but you also have to be willing to think differently than you are right now. And that's going to start with tapping into the version of you who's already accomplished it. Reverse engineer it. I've gotten to this place. This is where I want to be. This is where I want my life and my business to be. Now, what is the narrative that this person has? What's the outcomes that they have? What is the internal drivers? What's the motivations? What's the inspiration? What type of identity, values do they carry? What type of principles? What type of boundaries did they start to put in place? You can reverse engineer your future self and the person that you need to become. So I'd love to hear in the comments, are you stuck in a survival state? Or are you operating from a space and a frame of being able to thrive, not just in your business, but in every aspect of your life? And it's one of the big reasons why I'm creating the Daily Mindset and Business Dojo group. It's because it's a space for business owners to come in and actually train to become the best version of themselves in every aspect of their life. Not just business, not being one-dimensional, to have the relationships you want to have, to eliminate the resistance or limitations that you have that stop you from showing up as the best husband or the best father, to be able to eliminate the limitations that you have that lead to you making bad decisions, that lead to poor health, mismanagement and burnout, or poor leadership. It all stems back to our internal dialogue, our inner game that we need to change at an identity and an alignment and at a mindset level. So I'd love to hear in the comments where you're at right now and what would your future self be doing differently. So until next time, be well, and as always, ascend higher.